Hey, how's everybody doing? I basically had to. This is not really a safe area yet. I'm doing what I can. But the I'm okay. This is Dan Abrams live, but it's not Dan Abrams. It's News Nation, and I can't think of the guy's name or the show he's on. I don't normally watch it. I might start watching it. It looks like it's halfway decent. Um, and I don't know if it's on the Discovery Channel or the Travel Channel, but he's got a UFO show uh, where he goes around and looks at this stuff, and he's on there, and I got it screwed up. Just a little shout out the two call to actions I got now. Please write everybody that you vote for, if you don't mind, and ask them to legalize assisted suicide. I got health issues. Long story. I watched my mom die in hospice, and there's got to be better options, and assisted suicide would be one of them. When I end up either homeless or out of money, rather than having to steal to put gas in my car or to get food or etc., so on and so forth, I'd rather have a better option. The options out there, if you're not able to work, are a fucking joke. Uh, even if you do get help, it's not in my opinion enough to. I mean, really, if all you're doing is being kept alive so you can eat and sleep and wipe your fucking ass, what's the fucking point? It just doesn't make any sense to me. And then the other one is, it sounds like the one is going to come up for a vote. Senator Chuck Schumer has an amendment coming up. I believe it will be attached to the defense bill, and it will. It's being reported by Ross Coulthart and others. Going to be kind of a big deal if they get it passed. And it sounds like they can pass it in the Senate. At least that's what I'm hearing. Whether, if it isn't, it isn't. But it sounds like they'll be able to pass it in the Senate. And then they just need to get it passed in the House. And then the other one was from Senator Christian Gillibrand, and I believe her and Mark Rubio. So it's got bipartisan support. They want to attach it to the intelligence bill. I might be wrong, but it seems to me we should have both of them. So please write your federal legislators, the ones in Congress, House and Senate in D.C. Please write them and ask them to make sure they get that passed. And I think it's a big deal. I think we really need it. And then and I got this wrong, and it took me a day or two to realize. And again, I didn't do it on purpose, but it took me a day or two to realize it. Somebody had posted something about, and I thought it was our Congress, but apparently somebody showed alleged alien bodies to the Mexican Congress, the Mexican legislatures, and it sounds like they're over 1,000 years old. And I don't know if they're real or not. I don't, but let's just assume for an instant that maybe they're real. Uh, this could mean big shit's gonna happen. I mean, it really could mean that we're in for some shit. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Uh, Because like we got NASA admitting, and again they're kind of hedging it a little bit. I think they're not being completely honest, but they're at least coming out and saying, yeah, we've got things in the sky we can't explain. And then they're saying, and again, when you listen to some of the people like in the military and others, like Lou Elizondo, well, he was military, but he was investigating. Then you got your pilots. When you listen to these guys, they will come right out and say that David Grush, when he was before Congress, they tried to steer it towards them being aliens, and he goes, I want to call them a something along the lines of he wanted to call them a non-human intelligence, and he said, and this is what he said, so it maybe jibes a little bit with what NASA's doing, but he said, look, he goes, I just don't want to refer to them as alien. And I'm kind of wondering, maybe they're trying to steer it in a direction they know it needs to go, but they have to do it in a way where they can't get nailed for breaking their confidentiality or their classification rating. But he basically said that he wants to just refer to them as a non-human intelligence, because he said, I just unless I see, and I think something along the lines of, unless there's evidence to prove that they're not from this planet, he goes, I don't want to say that they are. Because, and this is what some of them have kind of indicated, these things have always been here. And there was that one guy, I believe he's a rabbi and he's a Jewish scholar, and he will sit there and talk about, well, the Bible talks about non-human intelligence. Fact, you just like, it's a statement of fact. They talk about intelligence that is not human. And, and then like he was brought on Skinwalker Ranch because he apparently had Jewish ceremonies that were meant to open and shut portals. And the weird thing is, he performed the ceremony for them. And if I remember right, everything either got hot or cold when they did the ceremony, and then they recreated the ceremony, because what they did is they recorded him doing it. And the second time they did it on the ranch, it was the opposite. Like if it was hot the first time, it was cold the second time. It was cold the first time, it was hot the second time. And the guy they had on there, he was like, because they brought him in. He was former military, and that's what he does now. That's his job. He goes out, he sets up his equipment, and then he measures thermal. He measures thermal readings on his camera and his equipment. And he said he's never seen anything like it. And because the first time they were doing it on their own, the second time they wanted to bring in somebody else, somebody with a little more background in this, and see if you got like well, to me, they should have done it again and again to see if you get, but to me, it was like one of them either opened something or closed something, and then the other one probably, because it was opposite. The first one, it got really, really hot, and the second one, it got really, really, or whatever it was opposite. It was the same ceremony, and the guy said that it was a ceremony to open or close portals. Indication that, maybe, just maybe, because maybe one of them was opening, and that's why it was a certain way. The second one might have been closing it, or opposite, and it was the opposite. Instead of being hot, it was cold, or instead of it being cold, it was hot. And I'm kind of waiting to see what goes on with these. I'm going to go ahead and put a chest over there. I'm just going to start putting sand in over there. That kind of blew me away, though. It's like, holy shit. And but they've got pictures on the internet. I don't know. I don't want to judge anything anymore. There's just some weird shit going on. Let's just leave it at that. Okay, that's mutton. I'm gonna get my pork chops, and then I'm gonna put the other ones in, and I'm depending on where the. Okay, I might hang out until the sun goes down, and then I'll put the sun up and head over to. I think I'm gonna work on the village today for the stream. But yeah, that's just some weird shit, and yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. And then if you don't watch it, if you've got the ability, I'm gonna really recommend it. There's a show called, I think it's Expedition X. It's on the Discovery Channel, and my brother watches it, and I've watched it here and there. He's got stuff he watches that I don't like. There's one of them he watches. It's two guys that are fairly knowledgeable, and they go around and they help people with their gold mining operations. The only thing, the main thing I really like about it is these guys show up and they do not try to. They don't go in there and look at what they're doing. Go, like it. And I don't really mind Gordon Ramsay, but it's not the Gordon Ramsay approach where they go in and they tell them, "Oh, this is shit. You have to do it my way." What they do is they go in and they got their little mobile. Every now and then they camp, but there's a lot of stuff they can make on the truck and equipment that they drive around with, the semi. It's like a semi or something, but it's got like a workshop on it or something like that. And there's a lot of stuff they can fabricate on there, and not everything. Occasionally they need stuff that's too big to do on their equipment, and they got to kind of improvise. But what happened is they go in, and the first thing they do is they look at the operation. And they look it all over, and they have them run it for like half hour, something like that. And then what they do is they look for things they can do to improve the existing situation. So they don't go in there and go, "Oh, this is shit. Only a fucking idiot would do this." And I don't mean it in a bad way, because with the restaurant it's a different story. But he goes in and he basically lets them know almost always they're, in his opinion, they're fucking up and they have to change pretty much everything. He usually writes a new fucking menu for them. A lot of times they have to redo, but a lot of times, maybe not every time, but a lot of the times, you got to ask yourself, how are they passing their health inspections and shit? Because he's gone in there and found like moldy shit in the fucking refrigerator. It's like, what the fuck, man? You need to get this shit cleaned up before you have a death in the family here. But no, these guys do. They basically look like I watch, and again, I only watch like 5-10 minutes at a time. Maybe if it's a really good one, I'll watch like 20 minutes and then I'll move on. But they'll go in and they'll notice, oh, you got leaks here. There's probably gold running out all the time on this, and you're losing it. Then there was one where they noticed the jets were wrong. They were spraying to kind of wash the gold off to the side or something like that. I got this done yesterday. I'm thinking about taking this down later, but what I did was, I know this is over. I'm going to double check it here. I got this so that the 5x5 system, it's Yoda's 5x5 building system. I really like it. I think it helps me out. What I did was I put it in here, and then this way all of the torches on this side will match up with the torches on that side. As soon as I'm done, I'll probably tear this down, and I'll just use a boat to get across. Or I'll make an underground one where you can ride a horse underground and come up over. I don't know. That's something for later. And but I was working on this a little bit, and I try to save a lot of shit like this for these streams where I want to talk, because this is something I can do without too much trouble. I don't have to worry about you. I don't really, unless if something comes up. But I can kind of do this and focus on what I'm trying to talk about for the episode. And see that right there. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a torch in there. I'm just going to take all of these. This is the one where when I was first digging it, I had to come here. This was down. I had to basically build this. Well, instead of building it here and having to lower it, well, then when I got over here, I fucked up and so then I had to come back and take the top one out. But I basically just started here, and when I got to this point, I realized, oh shit, I didn't go back up for the digging. I like to dig up here first because you can do too wide, and you can just run a path, and then when you come back, you have to then you just got one layer. Otherwise, you're down here and you're trying to chisel up to get that top one. Down the road, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a half slab here so nothing can spawn. Well, normally nothing can spawn. I think raids will still spawn on a slab. But I do that, and then that way when you come by on a horse, you have to be 3 high, because if it's too high and you put a slab down, you'll be suffocating if you try to ride a horse through here. I'm not saying it's the best. You could do 4, you could do 2 and not put the slabs down. But this is what I'm doing with it. And I like it because in this way, between the slabs and the lighting, later on, I've at least got a relatively clear path marked out where I don't have to worry about stuff spawning on it. I'm trying it on this one here. I am not going to go into peaceful mode. I think I got it on normal. It's not hard. It's not easy. I may go down to easy at times, but I am going to try and play this the way I used to. I'm probably going to die a little more often, but I'm going to try, and I might end up just after a while like, I got to go into peaceful. But I am trying to play this without going into peaceful. I'll own it. I'm not going to be that way. Whatever it is, I'll own it. But I want to get these torches all the way, and then because I did this in the last one where I had these roads and that. Well, then I got into where when I added extra roads, the torches didn't match up. The lighting didn't match up with the 5x5 system, and I don't know because there's a lot of this map I haven't uncovered yet. I just want it to where pretty much everything I build will be attached to this 5x5 system. Yeah, it's probably stupid. I'm not going to argue with you. It's probably stupid. But it gives me something to do. And I don't know if he's still making videos or not, but his channel is Andy is Yoda, I think. Because I don't go usually looking for it. I used to see him pop up in the feed all the time. So I don't know if he quit making YouTube videos or not, but I really liked watching his builds. I really liked I think he was the one who did these things where what he'd do is he'd take a build. I got to go a little bit more. He'd take a build and he'd do it. And then what he would do is he'd start out with a basic build, and he'd do 7 variations of it. And what he'd do is he'd build the first one, and it was done as a speed build. He would show it to you at high speed. You could pause it at any time, and then after it, right next to it, he'd build level 2 or version 2. And what he'd do is he'd make it a little more complex. Then he'd make version 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it was just really interesting to watch him take what Start it out as a basic build and then just improve it. And you could learn from that. That's why I liked watching it, because you could actually learn from that and become maybe not as good as him. At least I can't become as good as him. But you could basically learn how to tweak stuff a little bit. You start out like, and I do it a little bit now, but like here's the thing, like what I'll do is sooner or later, and I want to get the 5x5 system extended to here. But what I'll do is I'll take these, I'll tear them down, and then I'll rebuild something that looks like this. Well, it might be, depending on what I'm doing, it'll be anywhere from a 1.5 to a 3 on his scale. So, like, if this is version 1, I'll either do like a 1.5, a 2, a 2.5, or a 3, and I'll attach it to the 5x5 system. And then I've got something that looks, it's something that isn't that complex, so my skill level can build it. But by attaching it to the 5x5 grid and by upgrading it, it looks a little better. And you end up with a much cooler village here. And I got this dug out a little bit. I got a ladder going down. I'm still trying to figure out, because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig it out and have them come out here, because I don't have another portal where I can go in and get the soul sand yet. And even if I did, I don't have any armor, so I'm not, unless I switch to peaceful mode, I'm not going into the nether anytime soon, because I need gold armor, but I can get gold armor from this. So I need to make a rudimentary. I got to make a rudimentary zombie farm, and it might get improved later. I might do a 2.0 later, but what I'm thinking about doing is, oh, hang on. I'm gonna be able to sleep pretty soon. What I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna start as soon as I get this done and it works. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start trying. I'm gonna make like a vegetable farm, and I'm gonna try and get some veggies, and I'm gonna start breeding. I want to start breeding, and I want to get enough villagers. I don't even care what they are right now, but I want to get enough villagers over here, and I might start getting villagers. I might start making workstations, but I want to get enough villagers that the iron golems will spawn. And I'm going to try and set it up to where you'll have the zombies over here coming out. And I'm hoping that the iron golems will drop in to kill them, and then I can collect iron and everything else in there. And the golems will do most of the work for me. Um, that's what I was looking at. And again, I might abandon this. This might be a starter village, but I think I'm gonna do that. And because I'm thinking, well, man, if I can definitely get villagers breeding over here, the iron golems might just drop in there and take care of the zombies for me. So. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get whatever I can out of this, and then I'll move the charcoal over here. And I am either going to go plant some trees or cut some trees down. Like I might go cut those down and replant them. Well, anyways, they had this Expedition X, and highly recommend that show. And the first one he told me about, it was they were down in Louisiana, and I can't fault him because it sounded like that's what they were talking about. They were it was something that was supposed to be like a inbred version of a fucking werewolf or something. Well, I'm not so sure that's what it was. Or what they were looking for wasn't what they had footprints for. I'm not really entirely sure. But and it was good. I'm not saying I'm like, I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was fascinating. I'm not trying to claim that it was real or anything like that, but I enjoyed the episode. It was pretty good. Well, then they did one on the Hellfire Club, and that one was even better. That was a good episode. And then they did one on this is the one they did this past week, and I didn't catch what it was. But I saw that they made a big deal that it was going to be a two-part episode. So I told my brother, "Go make sure you record that one." And he goes, "Well, what is it?" I go, "I don't know," but I go, "They said it was going to be." And he goes, "Well, usually the two parts are pretty good." I go, "That's what I'm kind of thinking." I didn't know what it was, and if I didn't like it, I didn't have to watch it. But the fact that they were doing, because I mean, the single episode shows they do, I've enjoyed the ones I've seen. I thought they were very good. And I'm thinking, well, if they've got enough shit that they want to do a two episode, might be pretty good. So I was just kind of interested in it. And it turned out it was on Skinwalker Valley. And so they went to Utah and they're looking at the Uinta Basin. And the thing with them is, like in the show, they do most of their work in the summer. The whole show is pretty much shot from the spring until the end of summer. And I think their seasons are a little different out there in Utah, but that's what they do. And they went out in the middle of winter. And according to them, there's more activity reported in the winter months. So I'm like, well, this could be really, really cool. And okay, there's a bed in there I can go sleep in. And I got a torch there. But Bacon. Hey, feel feel free to make a clip of this and send it to the vegan teacher or whatever that's out there. She I think she kind of quit using it, but she was on TikTok a lot, and she'd end up blocking them. There were people that were sending her all these things on butchering animals or eating meat, and they would just spam her with it because she was one of those arrogant vegetarians, and she found out it did not go over that well on social media. Uh, that still freaked me out when I was mapping this out. I don't even think I got half the map uncovered, and I found this village, and I'm like, well, that's cool because that's what I was kind of. I found two outposts. Somebody commented on my one of my videos that because I was showing off my raid farm that I had on the other one, and he made a comment that he looked for one and it took forever. And I told him, from what I remember, it took me a while. I didn't find it first day or first couple days like this one. It took me a while to find it because we basically what you got to do is you got to like if you on that if you go look at some of the other ones, that outpost I found was one or two maps away from the one I started on. It was not on the same map, so I had to go find it. I told him it took me a while to find that on here. This one here, it's like I was looking for a village and I found two outposts before I found them. I'm like, yeah, this is kind of cool. And then when I found this, I was up there. I think it was up there some. It was on that second level, and it was broad daylight. There was no way they were spawning naturally in that much light. So I'm like, well, there's got to be like a cave or something, like what I was like over there where I was coming through, and then you saw me look down into that cave. I'm like, well, they got to be spawning somewhere like that, and that's the way I looked at it. Well, I went around and I found it was open. It was partially opened. I've dug it out now, but there was an actual zombie spawner, and I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. Well, yeah. Anyways, so they went into the Uinta Basin, and again, I don't know, but and I don't know the show. The guy on it seems honest, but I don't really know. But they were driving, and somebody told them there. They were talking to like a local, and they told them, hey, don't pick up hitchhikers. And they're like, really? And they go, well, yeah, you don't. And because I've heard stories, don't know if any of them are true, but I've heard stories about some of the people that lived on the ranch and how like in the middle of winter when they are like snowbound, they will have people show up, and there's no indication, like there's no prints, there's no tracks. They just show up at the building and talk to them and want in or want this or want that. And then when they're gone, the only tracks are right near the building. It's like they just vanished. And I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and eat the apples. And the woman told them, don't pick up hitchhikers. And then they were like, well, what if they're real? And then she's like, well, if you do, she goes, it's really not a good idea. But she goes, if you pick up hitchhikers, make sure you look at their feet. And they're like, why? And they go, well, because the feet are the one thing the skinwalkers can't change. So make sure they have real human feet. And it's like, I've never heard that before. I'm not saying it isn't true. I don't know if any of it's true, but that I've never heard before. Well, when they were walking, they saw somebody who appeared to have some strange looking feet, and they passed him on the car. It was at night. And then when they turned around and went back, the person was gone, and they were out in the middle of nowhere. And again, I don't know if the show is doing stuff. It could be locals. There could be local people that are fucking with them. I don't know. But again, I want to keep an open mind because, again, there's a lot of this stuff that I used to just write off. I really did. And then when you've got NASA and the government saying that, yeah, this stuff is real and we don't know what it is, it's like, oh my God, I don't know anymore. I literally don't know anymore. I wish you could make a copper bucket. I really wish you could make a copper bucket. Okay, so this is 79. This should be deep enough. I want to get some glass and I want to just stack that glass there. I guess I could just use regular blocks, but I want to make sure if you're making any type of a spawner, you want to make sure that nothing can spawn and fall on top of it, because what'll happen is it can cut your rates. So you want to basically, if you're making one, you want to put blocks from the top of it all the way up so that if anything spawns, it will spawn at least one block to the side and fall down. That's what you want to do. Doesn't matter which one it is, blaze spawner, skeleton, whatever. You don't want anything to be able to spawn either on top of it or land on top of it. And the other thing, now this kind of pissed me off. The golems they don't get stuck in boats anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make some But yeah, so I was watching that, and I gotta say, I was a little impressed. And I kind of on Threads, because I don't use Twitter that much anymore. I did reach out to Skinwalker, and I kind of mentioned, I go, hey, they're doing this show. Okay, I need 3 more. You know what? With the cats we got, I find it kind of funny because the one female cat we got, she does not like Sharon. She eats his shit like you would not believe. She just wolves it down. But she doesn't like Sharon. She doesn't want him. She doesn't want him eating her food and this, that, and the other thing. But what's funny is when he's gone, sometimes right in front of him, she'll just go up and she'll start eating his food. And but what's funny is when I'm trying to eat, she wants to belly up to my plate just like he wants to belly up to her. He would really love it if the two of them would eat out of the same dish. He would almost fell. Um, he would really love it. I need to it. Well, I don't have to, I guess, but my foot does feel better if I keep it elevated. And uh, but no, she likes it. He likes it. He would love to eat out of the same dish. What's funny is she doesn't want him doing that to her. But my God, man, when I got food on my plate, and what's funny is the last couple nights, she comes in and snuggles up with me in bed. And then today again she's just hanging out. I gotta politely move her away, and sometimes not so politely because she keeps coming back. But I gotta move her politely away from my plate when I'm trying to eat because I don't want I don't want a whole bunch of cat hairs in my food. But I just find it funny. I really do. Uh, if I got a clear enough view of the sun, I can get at least a rough estimate of when you can actually go to sleep. Forgot to get a pick. Okay, now there's more than one way to do it, but because of what I'm doing here, uh, that should be far enough away that it won't mess with that. Now, I'm gonna try and do this without going into peaceful mode. Uh, and like even if I knew where there was an ice biome, I don't have a silk touch pick, so that won't do me any good. I I'm gonna go kind of look around. I'm gonna kind of go look around and see if there's any more golems. Oh, just call me Colonel Sanders. Man, if I don't screw this up, this could be an epic little village here. Okay, that looks like it's the only one. So what I'm gonna do is, this is gonna be a little boring, I apologize, but Target acquired. Okay, so got the Acacia saplings. I'm not counting these out, I'm just spacing them out because it's all temporary anyways. As soon as I get the lumber, I've got almost, I might have it now, but I got almost a full stack of uh, cotton or sheep's wool, so I can make a ton of beds if I got. I just don't want to use up all my lumber. I want to get back to having a full stack of oak logs. And refill that, which I can do. And I don't want to run out of food. I wouldn't mind building up a little bit of a surplus over here. And then down the road, but I need redstone. Some of that I can do if I actually get this village stocked up. I can get one of those raid farms working. I can get redstone from villagers, redstone dust, and I can actually go ahead and make a chicken farm. I gotta tell you though, I'm a little freaked out over the claims that are being made that they're showing alien bodies to the Mexican Congress. That is just freaking me out to no end. Because you never know. I mean, my part of me wants to say, well, yeah, it's probably bullshit, and who knows? It might be. But what if it isn't? I mean, good God. Because again, you've got the military, you've got NASA, you got members of Congress that are all like, yeah, this appears to be real. So I don't know. I literally don't know. This is all just temporary. I want to get some villagers over here. The beds might attract them. Um, Oh man, this village is really unsafe. I can't believe that this accident is happening. An accident that I will not hesitate to recreate the next one of these useless fucking villagers that appears. Oh, that poor villager. We will remember him well. I wish you could do on Bedrock what you can on, or at least what you used to be able to do on uh, the Java version, where you could, you set up your little Iron Golem thing, and you just basically all you have to do is scare the villagers. Okay, it doesn't work too bad without water. Well, as soon as I can get some water in there, it'll be a lot better. As soon as night comes, they're gonna. As soon as nighttime comes, they're gonna probably bum rush him. The, okay, then if I had a name tag, I would name that thing Crookshanks because the cat is pushing them out. It's like, oh my god. That cracked me up when I realized that cat was pushing him out. It's like, oh, Crookshanks has arrived. I'm getting kind of lightheaded. I got at least an hour in, I think. Uh, I'll see how much more I can get done before the next one. I actually got a little bit done for this one, so I'm pretty happy about that. Uh, I think I won't do it on stream, but I think what I might do is I I might go rooting around in some of the holes and other stuff that I've already fallen into or purposely gone into and see how much iron I can dig up. I just need enough for a bucket. And but once I get this going and I can start to get some scraps of metal, and the other thing I will try to do, I might not do it before next stream. Well, if I don't stream tomorrow, I might. But today, tomorrow, or Monday, I found a oh, it's like the relic of a portal. And on the last one I did, I reinstated every one of them. When I found them, I recreated the portal. And what I want to do is I want to go where the outposts are and get them marked, and I want to go where that portal is and get them marked so that I can find them on the map before I forget about them or before I have a day where I am forgetting about them. But peace out, and I hope everybody has a good day.